will also win Congress. Early this morning, House Republicans voted to advance impeachment articles against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Mayorkas faces charges of refusing to uphold the law and breaching the public trust in his handling of the U.S. southern border. Falling along party lines, the House Homeland Security Committee recommended articles for the full House vote, which could come later next week. Well, Republicans say Mayorkas has demonstrated willful and systematic refusal to enforce immigration laws, while Democrats say the whole impeachment push is nothing but a sham. It's all happening as the border crisis takes center stage in the 2024 presidential election. CBN's Burke reports.
If your refusal to obey the law leads to the death of your fellow Americans, you no longer deserve to keep your job. You're breaking the people's trust.
The last cabinet member impeached came in 1876 under President Ulysses S. Grant. Corruption charges led to that outcome, and Democrats maintain this attempt is over a policy dispute.
In a process akin to throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, Republicans have cooked up vague, unprecedented grounds to impeach Secretary Mayorkas.
In a new letter to the Homeland Security Committee, Mayorkas writes that the false accusations do not rattle or divert him. Democrats call the impeachment effort a sham, accusing House Republicans of following the wishes of former President Donald Trump.
The extreme MAGA Republicans who are running the House of Representatives are deeply unserious people. They don't want progress. They don't want solutions. They want a political issue. And most of all, they want to please their disgraced former president.
Trump wants Republicans to oppose an expected bipartisan immigration bill in the Senate, saying it would be a gift to Democrats and legislative victory for President Biden. A Senate vote could come as early as next week. GOP negotiators expressing frustration over claims it will be dead on arrival in the House.
We want a change in law, and now it's interesting a few months later when we're finally getting to the end, they're like, oh, just kidding. I actually don't want a change in law because it's a presidential election year.
Meanwhile, another House committee considering the authority of states to unilaterally take action to secure the southern border if the federal government fails to do so.
As Thomas Jefferson put it, self-preservation is paramount to all law. The fact of the matter is, of course, the people of Texas have a right to defend themselves, just as I have a right to defend my home and my family if it is under attack.
Federal law governing immigration is the supreme law of the land. We cannot have 50 different sets of immigration laws. Attempts by the states to enact and implement their own immigration enforcement policies that conflict with federal law are clearly unconstitutional.
Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Thank you, Gordon, you've been saying it, but it certainly looks like we're in for it this political election year.
It is a politics at its best, but I'll quote Representative Scanlon: the immigration law of the United States is the supreme law of the land. And when it's not being enforced, what in the world do you expect people to do? And that's clearly what's happening today. I've said it before, I'll say it again. What part of illegal don't you understand in illegal immigration? If they're crossing the border illegally, it's up to the federal government to enforce that law. And if it's not enforcing it, you can't be surprised when the state of Texas says we need to take matters in our own hands. And you can't be surprised that Republicans in the House of Representatives say we need to change the administration here because clearly the law is not being enforced. Is it politics? Absolutely, it's politics. It's an election year. I think everything out of Capitol Hill is politics on both sides of the aisle. Is it dead on arrival in the Senate? I think absolutely. It's going to take 2/3 of the U.S. Senate to vote agreeing to the impeachment, regardless of what the House does. The House can refer it to the Senate, but it clearly will be dead on arrival. And we've been here before. The same thing happened to President Trump on his impeachment trials, and when it got to the Senate, it got defeated.